Sunlight cascaded through dusty windows in a small workshop on the edge of a bustling market street. Warm, golden rays illuminated rows of hand dipped candles arranged on long wooden shelves. Their soft glow hinted at subtle fragrances: lavender, sandalwood, citrusy. Yet one could only experience the fullness of these scents by gliding a fingertip across the wax and lifting it to the nose. The workshop belonged to a reserved artisan named Emile, who spent his days quietly honing his craft. His stooped posture and contemplative gaze revealed his love for detail and perhaps a tinge of loneliness. Although he was dedicated to his craft, Emile longed for a spark that would bring color into the carefully lit world he had created. Each morning, after unlocking his shop's heavy front door, he arranged his new creations by height, tint, and fragrance. He stocked slender tapers, squat pillars, and candles shaped like fruit or tiny figurines. Some were simply white, others contained intricate blends of bright pigments. His skilled hands turned raw wax into objects of delicate beauty. Regular customers appreciated Emile's artistry nearly as much as they did his kind, if quiet, demeanor. He rarely showed more than a small nod of his head by way of greeting, but his customers knew him well enough to keep coming back for more. It was on an autumn afternoon, when the amber hues of 9 o'clock light caught flecks of dust in midair, that the timid candlemaker encountered the source of light and color that would change his life. The village's annual festival, celebrating craft and culture, was weeks away, and the event committee had begun inviting new artisans to exhibit. Chairs had been set up outside in a semicircle, anticipating an artist's demonstration. Intrigued by the buzz surrounding the event, Emile decided to step out from his shop. He locked the front door, left the closed sign up, and walked across the street to join the small crowd. There, he saw a figure in vibrant clothes. A tall person with short, tousled red hair that caught the sun like living fire. This was Miro, a stained glass artist whose pieces had been hailed as both daring and breathtaking. Miro spoke with confident, animated gestures, describing the bold patterns and shapes that could be achieved in glass. As Miro addressed the assembled villagers, throwing jokes and wit like confetti, Emile found himself captivated. The stained glass panels displayed for the crowd appeared to dance with color, azure so deep it rivaled the sea under sunlight, ruby reds that conjured images of pomegranate seeds, and golden yellows reminiscent of honey. Ice-like blues and mossy greens shimmered in the warm autumn day, demanding attention from all who gazed upon them. Emile lingered at the edge of the crowd, hands folded in front of him, observing Miro's passion. He noticed the way Miro's eyes lit up at each question, how their mouth curved into a playful grin when answering excited fans. The whole demonstration was so alive and full of confidence that it nearly overwhelmed him. As the demonstration continued, Miro spotted Emile, the quiet observer in the back, and held his gaze for a moment. A stray ray of sunshine split across Miro's pane of cobalt glass and flared directly into Emile's eyes. He blinked, startled, before he managed a stiff, polite nod. Miro's lips curved upward in a small but meaningful smile, almost as though a silent conversation had taken place. The next day, Miro arrived in Emile's candle shop. The late afternoon light streamed through the door as Miro entered, carrying a satchel full of half-finished glass pieces. "Hello? I hope you don't mind me popping in," said Miro, setting the bag down gently near the shelves of fragrant wax sculptures. Their voice was full of sunshine, brimming with warmth that transcended formalities. Emile tried to smile, but it wavered, betraying a mix of uncertainty and admiration. "Of course," Emile managed softly, motioning toward the display of candle samples. "You're welcome to look around." Miro studied the shop's interior, taking in the neat arrangement of candles. They traced a finger along the edge of a delicate beeswax taper. "I couldn't help noticing you in the crowd yesterday. You seemed quiet, but that's okay. Silence is unrushed, and not everyone likes to chatter incessantly." Miro shrugged with an easy grin. "I think your craft is lovely, by the way. Your candles look almost alive in the light. A ripple of warmth passed through Emil as he vaguely nodded, feeling his cheeks tint. Thank you. I I get a lot of joy out of making them. They talked for a few minutes longer about the festival, about the complexities of their crafts. Before departing, Miro asked, "Would you care to see me work sometime? I have a small workshop in the old barn just off the main square. I'll be creating a new panel for the festival, something spectacular. You're welcome to stop by." Without even thinking, Emil nodded rapidly. Only after Miro had left did Emil realize his heart was pounding. He spent the hours until dusk re-immersed in candle making, pouring rods of wax, testing new blends of fragrance, and measuring dyes. Yet throughout it all, thoughts of Miro's boldness and shimmering artistry danced in his mind. He wondered how stained glass was shaped, colored, fused. He imagined the brilliant light passing through kaleidoscopes of purple, scarlet, emerald, and gold. On impulse, he collected a set of turquoise and cream white candles, his best craftsmanship from that day, and arranged them in a small box in hopes of gifting them to his new acquaintance. The following morning, with the box of candles in hand, Emil headed for the old barn that Miro had mentioned. Its exterior was weather-beaten, paint peeling, and a wooden sign read simply, "Art in Glass." Inside, he was greeted by a spacious area, half of which was dominated by tables holding scraps of colored glass, sketches, and specialized tools. The other half looked like a small gallery of completed works, each panel or sculpture shining with vibrant hues. Miro was in the center of everything, wearing a leather apron and a pair of safety goggles perched atop their head. "Emil!" Miro exclaimed, shutting off a small glass grinder. "You actually came!" Emil held up the box, clearing his throat. "I brought these, just something I made recently. I hope you'll, like them." Miro opened the box with delight. "They're so pretty. I love the calming shade of turquoise against the creamy white. Did you choose those colors for any reason?" A blush spread across Emil's cheeks. "I thought maybe they'd pair well with the blues you like using in your glass." Miro offered an appreciative nod. "It's perfect. Come on in. I was just about to cut some glass for a new piece." Emil followed Miro to the work table, his senses flooded by the scent of hot glass, melted lead, and a faint trace of burnt solder. Tucked in the corner, a beam of sunlight streamed through a high, broken window, illuminating shards of glass arrayed like jigsaw puzzle pieces waiting for assembly. Miro explained the process. Most stained glass started as sheets of colored material that were cut into shapes, outlined with copper foil or lead came, and then fused into gorgeous designs. Sometimes, further embellishment required painting color onto the glass and firing it in a kiln. As the hours passed, Emil felt his earlier reticence inch away. He began asking occasional questions about the best glass suppliers, about layering colors, about how to add detail. Miro, delighted to share expertise, demonstrated. With each new cut in the glass, each swirl of pigment or turn of the soldering iron, Emil began to understand just how mesmerizing and complex stained glass truly was. There was a certain synergy between the two crafts. One used flame to create light within a candle, the other harnessed external light to reveal colors in glass. Both needed patience, precision, and creativity. When mid-afternoon arrived, Miro took off their apron and invited Emil to take a break. They sat down on a bench outside the barn, shared some tea, and chatted about the festival. Miro teased stories out of Emil about his childhood, how he learned candle making from his grandmother, and the moment he decided to open his own shop. Hesitant at first, Emil slowly opened up, drawn in by Miro's genuine curiosity. He discovered that talking to Miro felt like a gentle, natural flow, not the effortful small talk that normally drained him. "So," said Miro, setting the teacup on the bench, "before the festival, I want to finish a piece that's kind of a tribute to the interplay of light and color, something that resonates with that wonderful calm your candles bring me. I was even thinking of introducing a narrower, taller panel that's specifically designed to showcase candlelight through it. Would you be interested in collaborating?" Emil looked at Miro, his heart fluttering unexpectedly. Collaborating? With me? Why not? We could design a piece that glows from a candle, shimmering through different layers of colored glass. I want to show that you don't need the sun or an electric lamp to bring out the hues. Your candles have their own radiance. The idea intrigued Emil so thoroughly that excitement bloomed across his face. I'd love to, he replied, surprising himself with the enthusiasm in his voice. For the next few days, the barn became their shared creative haven. They tested candles behind blue, red, and purple glass, experimenting with how the flame's warmth interacted with the different pigments. Some glasses turned the candle's yellowish flame greenish. Others accentuated the warm glow, turning it almost ruby in color. Emil had only ever thought of candles in isolation, focusing on fragrance and shape. Now he saw how they could be part of a synchronized dance with color, forming intricate patterns of light. As they worked side by side, the paths of their conversations ranged from musings on art and nature to deeply personal revelations. Emil learned that Miro had spent years traveling from city to city, perfecting techniques with some of the best stained glass artisans. Miro spoke with pride, describing climbing cathedral scaffolding to restore centuries old windows, or collaborating with modern architects. Yet beneath that welded together confidence, Emil noticed a certain restlessness, a yearning to find a place that truly felt like home. One evening, they stayed late in the barn, losing track of time in their artistic flow. Outside, the moon had risen high. Miro lit several of Emil's candles to test their reflections against a nearly completed panel. It was a piece that featured swirling loops of cobalt, salmon pink, and flecks of gold, reminiscent of a setting sun over a turquoise sea. A cut crystal teardrop at the center refracted the candlelight into dancing rainbows. It's beautiful, Emil breathed, head bowed near the glass. You've captured the essence of a sunset. Thank you, Miro said softly. Their gaze settled on Emil rather than on the swirling lights. You contributed too, with selecting those candle shades and giving them that gentle flicker. Emil looked up, meeting Miro's intense stare. There was a tenderness in Miro's eyes, a silent acknowledgement that their collaborative dance of glass and flame had turned into a personal closeness. In that single, shared breath, they were connected not just as artisans, but as two people discovering an unexpected spark. Eventually, they parted ways to sleep, but while Emil walked back to his apartment, the night felt unusually alive. Even the dimly lit street seemed bright with possibility. He wondered if such feelings were fleeting, an artist's mutual admiration, or if they hinted at something deeper. In the days leading up to the festival, rumors began circulating among the townspeople about an extraordinary display combining candlelight and stained glass. People whispered about the new piece that Miro and Emil were creating, each rumor embellished with ever more dramatic descriptions. Emil could see an uptick in customers at his shop, all curious about the upcoming festival, all wanting to buy candles. He found Miro busier than ever, tinkering with final details of the glass panel. They chose to name the piece Nightfall's Embrace, capturing the notion of day fading into twilight, with all the color that bursts just before darkness. The piece used layered glass and lead outlines to produce swirling shapes, and its center was designed to hold a single candle. When the candle burned, it cast ripples of color around the room. As final touches were applied, Miro invited Emil to the barn late one evening, claiming, I think we're ready for a preview. By the time Emil arrived, thick night had settled across the village. Miro ushered him inside, turned off every electric light so the barn sank into deep shadow. Then Miro placed one of Emil's newly made candles into the carved center of the glass piece and lit the wick. Instantly, a lustrous glow floated across the surface. Varying shades of purple, orange, and pink flared to life, bouncing off the barn walls in gentle ribbons of luminescence. It seemed to breathe, dancing in a shimmering aura like a living entity. Emil stood transfixed, a part of him barely aware of Miro stepping closer. The flickering candlelight illuminated Miro's features, accentuating those warm brown eyes, the curve of a smile. Something in Emil's chest rose like a tide. It's so magical, he whispered. You make it magical too, Miro replied, voice hushed. Their hand found his. When I first saw you, so shy and reserved, I felt this subtle glow around you, as though your quiet nature was like the steady flame of a candle, unwavering. But it needed something to really let it shine through. Emil felt a mix of nervousness and gratitude well up inside him. And I saw your art, so bold and bright. It made me want to risk stepping out of my shell, like you were holding a spectrum of colors that I'd never seen. Their words faded into silence as they let the swirling lights speak for them. Miro's hand squeezed Emil's, and in the next moment, the two moved closer, drawn by a soft gravity. Their quiet closeness was as radiant as the flame, suffusing the air with an unspoken hope. No grand romantic overture was needed. In that shared hush, they found what they had been seeking, the perfect harmony of light and color, of quiet warmth and radiant expression. At the festival's opening day, the two artisans unveiled their collaborative piece publicly. Curious spectators gathered in a courtyard, awaiting the demonstration. Miro and Emile carefully set up a freestanding panel to maximize its visual impact. Once the sky began to darken, Emile placed a fresh candle in the panel's center. Gasps of awe went up around them as the flickering flame transformed the stained glass into a kaleidoscope of shifting hues. Children pressed forward, hands clasped in wonder. Older folks clapped and smiled, whispering to each other how they had never seen such a combination of candle glow and stained glass artistry. Photographers snapped pictures, the flashbulbs popping. People pleaded with Miro to create designs for their homes, for wedding chapels, for local galleries. And they milled around Emile, praising the softness and fragrance of his candles, how perfectly they complemented the bold glass. As the applause enveloped them, Miro looked at Emile with a grin that was both exhilarated and secretive, as if to say, "We did this together." Emile smiled back, timid yet proud. The applause might have been new for him, but somehow he felt prepared to step into the light. In the following weeks, their bond matured. They continued working on custom orders, stained glass lamps and panels for cafes, set pieces for local theater, signature candles that enhanced the color scheme of Miro's creations. Whenever possible, they joined forces, brainstorming how best to merge fragrances, dyes, shapes, and glass elements. A synergy had formed between them, blending both their artistic talents and personal paths. Soon, it became very clear to the entire town that the candle maker and the stained glass artist were inseparable. They were seen sharing quiet dinners in cozy restaurants, wandering the marketplace hand in hand, or laughing softly over cups of coffee. When they created together, the results were as powerful as the feelings they had discovered. One day, Miro invited Emile to visit an abandoned chapel on the outskirts of town. Wind rattled the old stained glass that had been left in dilapidated condition for decades. Miro gazed at the tarnished frames, the broken panels that once depicted biblical scenes, their expressive face wrinkled with sadness and determination. "Look at this," Miro murmured, "all these beautiful windows, left to fade away. I'd like to restore them. It's ambitious, yes, but I believe it could be magnificent again. A place for everyone to see how light can transform even the darkest corners." Emile carefully touched a cracked piece of glass still clinging to the lead channel. Despite the gloom in the empty chapel, he could imagine the luminous potential. "I'll help," he offered, "if you need anything. I can even make specialized candles to enhance the lighting during the restoration. Or maybe for the final unveiling." Miro slipped an arm around Emil. "It will be the grandest restoration we've ever done. But with you by my side, I believe we can bring color and light into this old place again." As the plan took shape, they raised funds, gathered donations of materials, and recruited volunteers from the town. Even the mayor pitched in, thrilled by the chance to revitalize a historical building. Miro sketched out designs that cleverly combined old religious motifs with modern artistry, ensuring that each repaired window would reflect both tradition and a fresh perspective. Meanwhile, Emile began crafting a special line of chapel candles, long, slender tapers with subtle hues that matched the revitalized windows, their scents uplifting yet gentle. Months passed in a blur of organized chaos, removing broken glass, cleaning the centuries old stone walls, designing new sections to replace irreparable ones. It was painstaking work, but neither artisan faltered. Their dedication caught the admiration of locals and visitors alike. In the midst of long workdays, they found time to share meals, to stroll through fields of wildflowers, or to exchange quiet jokes while carefully installing a newly completed panel. And then came the day of the chapel's reopening. Word had spread far beyond the town's borders, drawing art enthusiasts and historians who were curious to witness the transformation. That morning, the sun rose behind the building, sending shards of early light through the brand new windows. Instead of darkness and disrepair, intricate patterns, refurbished saints, and stylized nature scenes glowed as if alive. The air was soft with the scent of Emile's commemorative candles, flickering gently at the altar and along the pews. Miro and Emile stood near the entrance, receiving visitors. Many people sighed with admiration, some whispered prayers of gratitude, others walked in total wonder. Sunbeams hit the angled windows, setting the interior ablaze in a quiet, reverent rainbow. People took pictures, but none could capture the fullness of the experience. The weaving of flame and glass, with natural sunlight joining in, created a triad of radiance that was beyond words. Pausing by a row of multi-hued candles, Emile felt a gentle pull at his sleeve. He turned to see Miro watching him, eyes aglow. Crowds milled around them, but for that moment it felt like the two were alone in the chapel. "You've helped me see that life can be more than a series of fleeting sparks," Miro said, voice low. "You've shown me how quiet devotion can transform even the simplest flame into something that fills a space with warmth." Emile's hand rested on Miro's. "And you've shown me what it means to be bold with color, fearless in expression, and to let my own light shine." As a hush fell for the final dedication ceremony, they threaded their fingers together. The officiating figure commended everyone's hard work, praising the extraordinary synergy of glass and light. Then, as though orchestrated by fate, a beam of late morning sun cut vertically through the richly hued window above. It cast a luminous rainbow across Miro and Emile, bathing them in hues of lavender, ruby, emerald, and gold. The spectators drew breaths of awe. Neither artisan had planned for this exact alignment, yet here it was, a cosmic seal on the melding of their crafts and their hearts. Miro leaned in gently, pressing a kiss to Emile's cheek. It was a tender, luminous moment that reflected all they had shared, shyness balanced by audacity. A candle's steady flame, enhanced by stained glass's dazzling color. With faces lit by that vibrant glow, they grinned, feeling the warmth of light and love envelop them. In the end, that was the gift they had brought to each other and to the community. A reminder that even in the quietest corners, a gentle flame can spark breathtaking color, and when bold art meets a humble light, the world itself seems to glow with new intensity. Together, they embraced the path ahead, ready to continue illuminating hearts, one radiant panel, one glowing candle, one tender moment at a time.